Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be doing the try a chapter challenge. At the start of the year I made a video where I talked about some fantasy series that I really want to start this year, and so that's kind of what we're doing in this video. I don't know, does it count as starting a series if you literally read the first chapter of the first book? I don't know, but basically the way that this works is I've picked out 5 books that I mentioned in that video, and I'm going to read the first chapter of each of them, and then based on how much I enjoy those first chapters, I'm going to pick one of those books to finish reading for this vlog. Hope that makes sense. I basically thought it would be a fun experiment to see whether the first chapter of a book is a good indication of whether I'm going to enjoy a book overall. I am a little nervous because I don't know what's going to happen if I end up enjoying all 5 of these books, or if I end up enjoying the first chapters of all 5 of these books. Also don't know what's going to happen if I don't like the first chapter of any of these books. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we'll see how it goes. So the books I'm going to be choosing from are An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, and City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. Those last 2 I actually own on my Kindle, so I don't have physical copies. But yeah, I've been wanting to read all 5 of these books for a really long time, so I have no idea which I'm actually going to end up reading. But if anyone wants to make a prediction, pause the video here and leave me a comment down below. Let me know which of these you think I'm going to end up choosing, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, I'm going to head off and make a start on the first book. I was going to say I'm going to read the first book. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the first chapter of the first book, and I will do an update once I'm done. Hello, so I made a start on Throne of Glass, and by that I mean I finished the first chapter. It was a grand total of 6 pages, so pretty short, and I think that's probably the first thing that I noticed about this book, is that the chapters were quite short, or the chapter that I read was quite short. Am I making sense? I do know a little bit about this book already, but we're following a girl called Selena who is being kept at this prison, and I think there's some kind of war that's going on outside, and she was on the side of the rebels, but she was betrayed, and that's how she was caught, and so that's how she's now in this prison. And in the first chapter she's basically been taken from her cell and is being brought before the Crown Prince, and I'm assuming, because it's mentioned on the blurb, that he's about to ask her to take part in this competition for assassins. I do like Sarah J Maas's writing style, and I feel like this is the kind of book that if I let myself, I could easily binge it in like a day or 2. The only thing I will say is that I haven't instantly fell in love with the main character. She's all right, but there's something about her that is coming across as quite cocky, and I don't think that confidence is a bad thing, and I'm sure that as it goes through the book maybe things change and she becomes more likeable, or maybe she's not meant to be likeable. I don't know, but I don't know if I'm in the mood to read that right now. So that's it for book 1. I'm now going to move on to my second book, which is An Ember in the Ashes. So the first thing I noticed about this book was that it's very fast paced, and I think it's told from 2 different perspectives. So the first chapter is told from the perspective of this girl called Leia, who lives in this world where 500 years ago the Empire was conquered by the Marshals, and they are awful. You learn in the first chapter that they killed Leia's parents and also her sister, and their house is suddenly raided by these soldiers who are looking for Leia's brother because he has become involved with these rebels that are spying on the Empire, and I'm assuming trying to overthrow them. It's told in the first person perspective, but I feel like we haven't really got to know Leia's personality yet. However, I am interested in this world because I know that it's inspired by ancient Rome, and so I would like to continue it. I feel like it's another one of those books where, because of the way that it's written, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but the pages, the text is quite large and it's quite widely spaced, and also it's a really floppy paperback, and so I just know that this book would be really enjoyable to read. So I finished the first chapter of The Final Empire, and the whole idea behind this book and behind this series is, what if the hero that was prophesied to defeat the Dark Lord failed? What if the Dark Lord won? And so it's set in this world where you have this evil Lord Ruler, and this guy called Calcia is trying to put together a group of rebels to overthrow this empire. The first chapter in this is actually a prologue where you first meet Calcia. I think I forgot to mention that the whole magic system in this book is to do with metal. So there are people like Calcia who can eat metal and it gives them magical abilities. So there's that too. I don't know what it is about Brandon Sanderson and just generally about adult fantasy, but I find it really intimidating, and I think it's because I have it in my head that all adult fantasy is really dense and hard to get through and slow, but I didn't find that with this at all. The writing is very descriptive in a way that helps to build out the world, but not in a way that makes it difficult to read, if that makes sense. This is probably going to sound really weird, but I was kind of hoping that this book wouldn't be my favourite because it's huge and I know it's going to take ages for me to get through. And I'm still undecided which out of the three that I've read so far I am the most interested in continuing. But I feel like this is a good contender, which is scary. Hello, so I finished reading the first chapter of City of Brass, and this was actually quite a long chapter. I think it was around 20 pages according to my Kindle, but I really enjoyed it. And I know I've said that about pretty much every single book that I've read so far in this vlog, but it's fine. It's all going to be okay. So this book is set in Egypt, and we're following a young woman called Nari who has this ability to heal. She, for as long as she can remember, has been able to sense when someone has some kind of sickness or illness, even if they don't know it yet. But she works as a con artist, and so rich people come to see her about their illnesses, and she heals them, but not really. She basically tells them what they want to know, and then she pockets the money. Out of all the books that I've read so far, I think Nari is my favourite character. Even within like this short space of time, I feel like I really know her personality and I really want to carry on reading about her. Obviously, I have still got one more book to go, and so I don't want to make a decision just yet, but I think we might have a winner. Watch me turn around now and be like, yeah, The Poppy War is amazing. I'm going to read that. This is why I'm terrible at making decisions. Okay, so I finished the first chapter of The Poppy War, and this follows a character called Rin, who is a war orphan, and she lives with these foster parents who are horrible, and they're trying to marry her off to a much older man. But Rin obviously doesn't want that, and so instead she asks if she can take this exam because she wants to get into her country's most prestigious academy. There's all of these different academies in her country, but this military academy is the only one that's free, and Rin doesn't have any money to pay for the tuition. Thousands of people take this exam every year, and Rin is up against these wealthy families that have got kids that have been training for these exams for their entire life, whereas Rin has only been training for a couple of years. And you do learn at the end of the first chapter that she has got into this military school. I did really like the writing in this, and I'm really interested in Rin as a character, and I would like to follow her journey and where she goes next. My only little criticism is that in this first chapter, there were parts that felt a little bit info dumpy. I think it's because you're following Rin as she's learning to take these exams, and part of that is learning history. And so you get a bit of the history of her country through her learning about it. And that was interesting, I guess, but it did also feel like we were getting a lot of information in one go, and I wasn't sure how much of it was relevant. It's not a major issue, but I did feel like it was breaking up the pace a little bit. So that's where I'm at right now. I still don't know which book I'm going to continue with. I think I'm going to sleep on it because I've been reading all evening, and I think I need some time to kind of get my thoughts together. If I were to choose now, it would probably be either Mistborn or City of Brass. I really enjoyed the world building in Mistborn, and I felt like I could picture it quite clearly in my mind. However, if I were going on characters, I would probably go for City of Brass. So I'm really confused and I'm tired. I've been reading all evening, as you might be able to tell, considering I'm in the same position wearing the same outfit. So yeah, I will probably make a decision tomorrow. Hey everyone, so I lied to you in that last clip. It's not the next day. I basically started filming this vlog last week, like a week ago, and then A Court of Silver Flames came out and I wanted to drop everything to read that, and so here we are. It's fine, but I do actually feel like it's been beneficial that I've had a week to reflect on the books that I read and the books that I started, because one of them has been sticking out in my mind, and that's the book that I've decided to carry on reading for this vlog. So the book I've gone for is City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I really liked this first chapter. I really liked Nari and how she's a con artist, and also the setting. I feel like the world building, even in this first chapter, was really vivid and detailed, and I felt like I was there. So I'm really excited to see how this book progresses. So I'm now about 40% of the way through City of Brass, and I was going to do an update sooner, but I am loving this book. I am actually quite annoyed at myself that it's taken me so long to read this book, because it's been on my TBR for a while. And now that I'm actually reading it, I feel like it could become one of my favourite fantasy books. I know I spoke earlier about what this book is about, but I wanted to try and summarise it a little bit more. So at the very start of the book, we're following this woman called Nari, who is in the middle of performing this ceremony as part of a con, when she starts singing in this language that she has always known, but that no one else recognises. And in doing so, she accidentally summons this Jinn warrior, and straight away he recognises that she's not quite human. And so he takes her away on this journey to the City of Brass, which is also called the City of Daevabad. And on this journey, he starts to tell her about the history of the Jinn, and she also starts to learn a little bit about his past. You also have this other perspective of the Prince of Daevabad, and through his point of view, you start to learn more about their politics, and also especially how they treat people who are half-blooded. Like I said, I am loving this book so far. I love the political intrigue, and I love that it's fast-paced, but also it's really descriptive, like the setting and the characters and just everything. Like, I think that's a good sign of a fantasy book, where you can actually feel yourself being absorbed into the world. As far as I know, this is also an Own Voices novel, and I don't think I've ever read a fantasy book that has Muslim representation, so I'm really enjoying that aspect too. The only thing I will say is that I am having to pay quite close attention to this book as I'm reading it, because of the way that it is so detailed. I find that sometimes I'll get to a part and I won't quite know what it's talking about, and I can't work out whether it's already been mentioned and I should know, or whether it's something that's going to be revealed later on. But like I said, it's not a bad thing. It's just that it's taken a lot of brain power to get through. I'm starting to remember why I don't really film secret TBR style videos, or videos where I can't talk about the books that I'm reading at the time that I'm reading them, because I am loving City of Brass. I'm about 70% of the way through now. And it's frustrating because I want to talk about it. I know a few people that have read this, like my cousin, and I want to be able to say, I'm reading this book and I'm loving it, but I can't, because I obviously don't want to spoil the start of this vlog. There's not a lot else I can really say in terms of the plot, because I obviously don't want to spoil things, but I am really loving the characters. I love their development and how they've progressed over the course of the book. I really like Nari. I think she's really interesting. I also really like Dara, although I feel like there's something else going on there. I feel like there's some part of his past that hasn't been revealed yet. And so I'm also really interested to see what happens there. Ali is a really difficult one, because I don't think I like him as a character yet. I might grow to like him, but I do again think that he's really interesting. All of these characters are just really interesting. I like that they all have distinctive personalities, and I like how the plot is just so clever. I am hoping to finish this tonight, and then I'll obviously do another update with my final thoughts. But right now, I can't see this being any lower than a 4 stars. I think it's going to be either 4 stars or 5 stars. But because this is the first book in a series, I definitely want to continue the series. And it's frustrating because I've already chosen my March TBR and the second book isn't on it. But I feel like I'm going to want to finish this book and then immediately go into the next book, and then probably the next book after that. Hello and good morning. So I am here to wrap up the vlog because I finished reading City of Brass last night and I absolutely loved it. I ended up giving it 5 stars, which I think we all kind of knew that that was going to happen. Obviously, I don't want to say too much on the end of this book because of spoilers, but that last chapter was incredible and I have so many questions and also a few theories, but I have actually gone ahead and downloaded the next book onto my Kindle. I read the first chapter last night and already I am hooked. If you like fantasy and you haven't read this book yet, then I really recommend it. Although if you don't like political fantasies, like fantasies that have a royal family and courts and things like that, then I don't know if you would get along with this, because it does have a lot of that. For anyone who's wondering, there is romance in this book, but I wouldn't say that it's the main focus of the plot. However, I do think that it could potentially become more of a focus in the next book and the rest of the series. Like I said, I immediately went out and downloaded the next book, and I think that now that I know the characters and I understand this world a little better, I feel like I could potentially enjoy this next book even more than I enjoyed the first book. So at the start of this vlog, I said that I wanted to see if you could judge a book by its first chapter. And I feel like in the case of The City of Brass, that is 100% true. I loved the first chapter in this book, and I feel like it just got better and better as the story went on. I'd really like to do this vlog again, but with different genres. So maybe romance, or I think thrillers could be a really good one. So let me know in the comments down below if that's something you'd be interested in. But that does bring me to the end of the video, so thanks for watching if you've made it this far. If you did enjoy this video, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye. Shh.